gymnastics in 3 years, but tonight Nebraska and Iowa State renewed their rivalry for the 115th meeting on a frigid Friday night in central Iowa. Hello everybody and welcome in to James H. Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa, alongside former Cyclone gymnast Andy Johnson. My name is Noah Wolf. It's a pleasure to have you with us inside Hilton Coliseum as Nebraska and Iowa State open the NCAA gymnastics season tonight. And Annie, for Nebraska, they've got a talented senior class still with them, but some very exciting freshmen as well.
Yes, it should be a very exciting matchup between both Iowa State and Nebraska with huge freshman class coming in. In talking of that, Emma Spence is also a freshman and a member of the Canadian national team, also a former Canadian Olympic team alternate, and is someone to keep your eye on this season, despite being her first year. Also, Kinsey Roby is a 2021 first-team All-Big Ten competitor and has just about any accolade that you can imagine and is going to be a great leadership for this Nebraska team.
On the other side, Iowa State is led by Addie DeJesus, who was a second-team All-American last season.
Addie came in as a Nebraska transfer, and the Cyclones have loved having her. She made an impact immediately and continues to be a great leadership role on this team. She competed in all-around in 10 of the 11 meets last season and truly contributed in every possible way that you can imagine. She has been the heart of this team, and we're very excited to see her compete this season. Unfortunately, she will be only making a debut on one event today, but hopefully we'll see her contribute a little bit more throughout the season.
Iowa State and Nebraska open the NCAA gymnastics season tonight. We'll start with rotation one after this. You're watching college gymnastics on Big 12 now on ESPN+. At Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa, we're just moments away from the first rotation between Nebraska and Iowa State. Cyclones will start on the vault, Big Red on the uneven bars. As a reminder, the gymnastics dual meet format. The home team starts on the vault, then the bars, and then they flip for the second rotation. Rotation 3 will have the home team on the beam, Huskers on the floor, and then they'll switch after that for rotation 4. And scoring rules there for you. 6 gymnasts, but 5 scores per event as the lowest total is dropped. And the high score wins at the end. Funny how that works.
Can you imagine? No, it should be a great matchup between these two teams.
Iowa State coming off a very good season last year. Here's their vault lineup. Ariana Orrego, Josie Bergstrom, Hannah Loyam, the 2 freshmen will get a crack at it in the middle there before Emily Hong, Kelsey Boychuk, and Michaela Maxwell finish it off with some experience. You noted in the open that no Addie DeJesus for the vault, and that was perhaps her best event last season.
Cyclones are missing a few crucial competitors on this event, but let's see if the freshmen can step up and really contribute to the team on this event. This was their best event last season, with a total ranking of being 11th in the nation after the whole season. So it should be exciting to see how they do this season.
Nebraska will start on the bars. They'll start it off with Emma Spence, who will be an all-arounder tonight. Martina Comine and Kylie Pieringer there in the middle before Asia Hall, another freshman. And then Kinsey Roby, also participating in all 4 events tonight. And Kinsey Davis will finish things off for the Big Red.
A fairly young lineup, so it should be interesting to see how the nerves are handled as they come out on bars being their first event. But I know I'm excited, and I'm sure all the freshmen are as well.
You mentioned that vault was the best event for Iowa State last season. They tied for 11th in the country with an average score of 49.275. And they'll try to start off strong again.
A big contributing factor to their vault lineup was that they had so many 10-0 start values. Right there you'll see Addie with a huge 1.5, which does start from a 10-0. Right now they do have a little more fulls than they did last season. Sophia Steinmeier right there, which is one of the members that we will be missing out of vault lineup, but hopefully see later on in the season.
Iowa State getting ready to start the vault. They're putting in the finishing touches on their warm-up routines now.
And you know, this first event really sets the tone for the entire meet. So if we go out and see the vault lineup and start sticking is very much a momentum. And so hopefully the girls will build off that momentum, as well as Nebraska. Let's see if they can hit those handstands, really look for those dismounts, and that'll set them up for the best success throughout the meet.
Iowa State is ranked 20th in the WCGA preseason poll. There you look at the top 10. You see a couple of Big 12 teams in there. Oklahoma 3rd and Denver 10th. Denver, a gymnastics-only member of the Big 12, before Iowa State in there at number 20. And plenty of Big 10 foes in that top 20 as well. Nebraska's got a tough go of things in their schedule this season as well. The last 5 in that top 25 poll on the screen in front of you. But Iowa State definitely has some high expectations this year, coming off of a great season last year, 21st in the nation. It was the 4th straight year that they were in the top 25 at the end of the year.
And I know they're looking to do the same this season.
So there on your screen, you see the points of emphasis in the vault scores. What exactly are we looking for here?
On vault, the judges are really looking for that big amplitude. So just really looking for height off of the table as well as distance from the table. And of course, that infamous college stick and finish. It is important to note that Phoebe Turner, Sophia Steinmeier, and Addie DeJesus are missing from this vault lineup. But as I mentioned, there are several members of this Iowa State Cyclones team that are stepping up and should put on a great performance.
It'll start with Ariana Orrego.
Ari has improved her power so much since her freshman year, so great person to lead off this event. Great fold, big hop back, but that's an awesome start for the Cyclones. You know, it's not uncharacteristic to have a lot more energy with this first meet, a little bit more jitters, but that is a great start and a great vault. So should be looking to nail that landing a little bit later in the season, but she should be very proud of herself.
We head over to Nebraska on the uneven bars. Catherine Thaler gets things started.
One thing to look for on the uneven bars is really hitting those handstands. So seeing that vertical line above the bar. She has a beautiful transition right there. One thing this Nebraska team does amazing is really seeing those long lines. As you can see, a beautiful hit handstand. Gearing up for her dismount here. Stuck landing. You could not have expected a better routine coming from Catherine.
A lot of excitement from the Nebraska team on that routine. Great way to start the season.
You could see the excitement in the girls' faces as they ran to her and celebrated. I know they were just as excited as she was for that routine.
Iowa State on the vault. Josie Bergstrom next in line.
Josie is the only member on this Cyclones team that is from Iowa, so I'm sure she's going to be a crowd favorite this season. She will be competing a Yurchenko full, same as Ari just did. Beautiful position, holy cow. That is the type of vault that you would love to see, how her hips were really nice and open with a straight body throughout the air. She did have a nice hop on the landing, so that will be a deduction, but another great vault put up by the Cyclones.
That's her first ever event as a collegiate gymnast.
That must feel great. She handled the nerves well. I know competing in club gymnastics is a little bit different than college. There's a little bit more energy, a little bit louder. So she handled her nerves fabulously.
Back to the big red on the uneven bars. Clara Colombo is next up.
A 9.725 by Catherine. Her teammate Pryor. This is one of the routines that I'm looking forward to the most for the Huskers bar lineup. She has a very unique routine that you'll see. She does an eagle grip, so an inverted grip than you normally see with these college athletes. You'll see coming up right away. Here's that eagle grip right into a piked Jaeger. Beautiful height. Right into a cast handstand. A little bit of a check there. Great save though. You'll see a lot of the Huskers do a combination into their dismount. Here's that eagle grip again, combining it right into her dismount, double tuck. Another stuck landing from the Huskers. Again, the excitement tells it all from the girls' faces.
Clara Colombo finishes her routine with a stuck landing.
You can see that replay of beautiful dismount. Great height, great distance from the bar. Awesome job. Hannah Loyam just finished off her college debut with a huge Yurchenko fold. We'll see a replay right here. Again, beautiful position. Her chest was a little bit down on the landing, but that stuck landing has to feel good for your college debut. And she is a stud to look out for, not only this season, but her entire career for the Cyclones. She should be making a huge impact, and hopefully all around later this season, as well as her entire career. Great start by the freshman, Hannah.
Yeah, she was so ready to go that she got there before we did.
I don't blame her. With that type of vault waiting, she was just ready to go.
Nebraska preparing the uneven bars. Emma Spence, get our first glimpse at their freshman to watch. Spence comes to the Huskers from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada.
One thing this meet is filled with, both from the Cyclones and the Huskers, is a lot of international competitors, which is really exciting to see since they don't have a college program like the United States does. So very cool that they get an opportunity to compete for the NCAA. Getting ready for her routine. Nice, beautiful handstand. Nice Maloney up to the high bar, straight back down to a pack. And again, you're seeing from the Huskers, beautiful lines, super long and elegant. The way that they work their bar routines is just textbook. Giant full right into a double tuck. Small hop on the landing, but nonetheless, a beautiful routine. Great way to start off your collegiate career.
You'll see plenty of Emma Spence tonight. She's debuting as an all-arounder now to Iowa State's vault.
Emily Hong just put up a great Yurchenko full against little small hop back, and a little bit pikey on the landing is why she had to take that hop, but you rather see them over-rotate than crunching those ankles early on in the season. That landing will come as the season progresses, and Emily was a great contributor to the team last season on vault, and I'm sure she will be putting up great scores for the team this season.
She got a 10 from the young Cyclones in the crowd there.
I mean, if that doesn't steal your heart, I don't know what will. I say they can be the judges for all NCAA.
I think we'd see a lot more 10s.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit more excitement.
Next up on the uneven bars for Nebraska is Kinsey Roby.
Now, Kinsey is a veteran. She is going to be competing all around and a lot this season, and she has always been a great contributor to this team. And she redshirted her sophomore year, and this will be her 5th year in competition for the Huskers. And I'm sure she's just eager to see what this team has in store. Unfortunately, they did have a lower ranking than they normally do, but they had a few hiccups, and with this incoming freshman class, it should be really great. I talked to Heather Brink, the head coach, prior to the meet, and she said the first meet is always unexpected, and you're not really unsure how you're unsure how it's going to go, despite how much you tell the team and prepare the team, and how much these seniors lead the team and have them expect what to have. But it's such a unique experience, and she's really looking forward to this team to share that experience together. Kinsey up now on bars. She starts off with a Jaeger. Beautiful. Oh, shoot. She was really fighting for that handstand, but just had a little bit too much power. Tried to recover, but couldn't quite get there. One thing I really appreciate about Kinsey's gymnastics is she's really aggressive and just attacks every skill that she does. The Huskers are going to miss this score, but it's important that she finishes because, as we mentioned before, there are 6 people up and 5 scores count, so in case there is another fall, hopefully not. If there is another fall, though, she has to make sure she finishes strong. Gymnasts only have 30 seconds to get back up on the bar, so you could see her coach there gearing her up. And now it's really hard. Bars is such an event. There she hits the handstand. Beautiful. It's an event that you really build momentum off of, and it's hard to lose that rhythm once one skill is a little bit off, but she's doing a fabulous job of recovering this. Now, her double layout is one of my favorite in the NCAA. Beautiful, a little small hop, but she recovered great, and that just shows how the veterans are able to handle pressure and really recover from those mistakes. Falls are bound to happen, but she did a great job.
Kelsey Boychuk now running to the table for Iowa State.
Kelsey is just competing a Yurchenko full today, but she is capable of a 1.5, hopefully adding that in later this season. You could see she was a little bit short on the landing. She tried to flare out, see that landing, but was just a little bit under-rotated. Still a huge vault nonetheless. A replay of that. You can see she closed her shoulders just a little bit on the vault table, which led to that under-rotation. But still, it's good to see the girls landing on their feet for this first meet.
Kinsey Davis next up on the uneven bars for Nebraska. Davis will compete in 3 events tonight.
Kinsey Davis is a rock star on this event. Last season, her high score was a 9.95, and she's only a sophomore, so I'm sure that 10.0 is in the back of her mind as she progresses throughout her collegiate career, and hopefully she finds that. I know she's more than capable of that. She has a really fun connection as well, right from the beginning. Another thing that I love about the Nebraska bar lineup is the diversity. A lot of times in collegiate gymnastics, it's easy to see the same repetitive routines, but they do a great job at switching up the release moves and switching up the combinations. Right up to an uprise clear hip, you're gonna see a beautiful Hindorf. Great amplitude. Little tiny bit short on that handstand. Beautiful bail over to the low bar. Now just the dismount left. You're gonna see a double leg gearing up for that. Awesome stuck dismount. It is so hard, you can see the excitement clearly. It is so hard to come back after a fall, but this sophomore did a fabulous job, just like a veteran. You can see the excitement and joy in her eyes and her teammates.
Michaela Maxwell finishes off Iowa State's vault portion of the evening.
Michaela is going to be the only 1.5 you see in the Cyclones lineup today, and it is a huge vault. She is capable of big things on this event. She got a 9.925 4 times last season, which is a massive score. Hoping to do that again. Beautiful vault. Just a tiniest little hop on the landing, but she did great, and clearly the girls are excited about that. Here's a replay of that 1.5. It's a blind landing, so it's a little bit harder, but you can see that she's trying to look for that landing and see where she's gonna land. Great job by Michaela Maxwell.
Nebraska's final competitor on the bars, Emma Simpton, a freshman from Dallas, makes her lone appearance of the night.
Emma has strong potential in the all-around. She was one of the best all-around competitors in the state of Texas in JO, and as you said, she is a freshman, and as we mentioned before, this is the largest Nebraska team that the school has had in the history of the Husker program. And Heather Brink, when I was talking to her, said that the reason behind this was to build depth. And, you know, sometimes having a bigger team can be an additional positive, or sometimes it can be a little bit of a drawback. But she said that so far it has been extremely positive and beneficial to kind of push the girls in the gym and out of the gym. So far, a beautiful routine by the freshman, making her college debut. A little bit short on the handstand, seems like she's a little bit hesitant. Gearing up for that dismount now. Big step on the landing, but she should be really proud. She made it through her college debut, and bars is a hard event to start on. As we mentioned on Kinsey's routine, it's one of those that you get into your rhythm, and if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. But she seemed to set in that rhythm very well, as you can see through this dismount. She did lack a little bit of rotation, which is why she had to pike down on the landing and have that hop, but awesome routine for the freshman.
We're through with rotation 1 from Hilton Coliseum in Ames. Nebraska will head to the vault. Iowa State to the uneven bars. When we return, this is college gymnastics at Hilton Coliseum in Ames. Nebraska leads by .025 over Iowa State. Huskers will head to the vault. Iowa State on the uneven bars next. Alongside Annie Johnson, my name is Noah Wolf. We're joined now by Nebraska head coach Heather Brink. Heather, thanks for joining us. How'd you feel about your team's performance in the bars?
Very good. I mean, I think our whole conversation is just to execute what we've done in practice. Obviously, we had a little mishap there in the middle of our lineup, so it's always hard to kind of recover from that, but I thought they handled it really well. Freshmen kind of finished it up for us, so glad we're where we're at going into the next event.
You mentioned about the freshmen. Speak a little bit more on them stepping up to the plate and just tackling this event as they did.
It's a huge group of young women for us, and we're really relying on them to kind of fill in some depth on our chart for us, and so there's a lot of opportunity for them to get in and contribute. I thought they handled it well. Of course, things we can go back and work on, but they delivered tonight, so proud of them for that.
Absolutely. And how do you expect the rest of the meet to go? What can we look forward to?
I think we're looking for the group just to kind of continue with the energy and the passion, and obviously hitting our routines 6 for 6 on the next 3 events is our goal, and just to execute what we've done in practice.
Awesome, and that's all we can hope for. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Thank you, guys.
Nebraska's highlights on the bars being shown right now. And it was a great start for Nebraska, 48-6 for that first meet. It's a great score for the first one of the year.
That is, as we talked about with Heather, the freshmen really stepped up, and despite Kinsey's fall and a little mishap, they really recovered well, and that's super impressive, especially for it being the first meet. This meet is the type of event that nerves can really take control, and it's easy to get a little bit jittery on each event, but they handled it beautifully and with class. So very job well done for the Huskers.
Nebraska will move from the uneven bars to the vault. The Cyclones make the opposite switch. Cyclones just .025 behind after rotation 1. Vault was Iowa State's best event last season, but missing some of those top contributors.
And those top contributors brought with them those 10-0 start value vaults. So those bigger vaults, that 1.5 that you saw from Michaela Maxwell. So without that 10-0 start value, each vault started from a 9.95. So a little bit more difficult to get those higher scores that they're used to, and as they finished off the season with last year. But again, it's the first meet. You don't want to come out with your biggest top competitors or vaults. It's something to work into and grow and progress.
Iowa State on the uneven bars last season finished 23rd in the country with a 49-103. see some of their best moments on the bars last year.
Again, this lineup is also going to be missing Natalie Horowitz, who has beautiful lines, Maddie Lanecamp, who is the most consistent bar worker I think I've ever seen in NCAA, as well as Jade Vella-Wright, who just floats beautifully on the bars. But again, we have a very stacked lineup as there are new people that are stepping up to the plate and really going to contribute great scores, and so we can look forward to this bar lineup.
Here's the Huskers, how they'll line up on vault. Emma Spence in the leadoff spot as the freshman, Martina Comine and Kylie Pieringer, 2 and 3. Asia Hall, a freshman, making her debut in the middle there. Then Kinsey Roby and Kinsey Davis to finish things off for the Big Red.
Along with Iowa State, the Huskers do have a lot of fulls that they are competing, but they are very clean, so they could score just as high as some of those 1.5s could, so should be a good showing for their vault.
There's the Cyclones lineup on the uneven bars. Michaela Maxwell, pictured there, will lead things off. Back to the vault for Emma Spence.
Starting off with a beautiful layout full, just a little bit tiny pike down, a little hop, but she had great lines. Again, just as we saw in bars, these Huskers really do a great job at extending and elongating their lines. You could see on the table, she bent her arms a little bit and rushed into the twist, which is probably what led to that little bit of under rotation, but a great start for those Huskers.
Michaela Maxwell launches onto the bars for Iowa State.
Michaela is competing the same routine as last year, starting off with a Jaeger. Great distance from the bar. Some people catch with a little bit of bent arms, but it's nice to see straight arms catch. That's what those judges are looking for. Last season was actually the first time that Michaela competed on an event other than vault, so it's exciting that she's continuing that trend. Double layout dismount. Awesome start for the Cyclones. Again, a little bit of a hop, but she had a beautiful showing. Here you're gonna see that dismount again. Double layout, great height, feet glued together, which is hard to do in that skill, so big applause to her.
Martina Comine on the vault for Nebraska.
Another solid full, almost looks identical to the last one. Again, beautiful form. Her legs are glued together during that vault, as you'll see in this replay coming up. Her feet do not come apart whatsoever on that vault, and you are allowed to flare out your feet a couple inches on that landing to kind of protect the ankles, but she does not have a problem keeping those feet together.
Iowa State on the uneven bars. Laura Cook next to compete. Cook, a junior, just on the bars tonight. She also competed on the floor last season.
You can see her teammate, Michaela Maxwell, giving her a pep talk, kind of getting her in a good mindset. And that is so important, and that's what you love to see about college gymnastics. It's really for the team. In club, you're competing for a team as well, but it's mostly individual. And here you can see the girls really leaning on each other and encouraging one another to just have fun with it. That's what you do college gymnastics for, is to have fun. The outcome is going to take care of itself, and if you go in with that mindset, as Michaela Maxwell was trying for Cook, great things will happen. A beautiful chapache we haven't seen yet in competition, right down to a pack, a little bit close to the bar. Oh, she's gonna try to keep going. That will be a 5/10 deduction. She did fall. Half pirouette. You can see her take a deep breath in between. This is a new dismount for her. Beautiful double layout, great position and open hips. And an awesome finish despite that little hiccup in the middle of her routine.
You talked about it being a sport of momentum, and she was just trying to continue that.
Exactly. And still finishing out for her team.
Vault for Nebraska, Kylie Pieringer.
A great Yurchenko full again. Play here. Again, slight little pike. Those little mistakes are easy to fix as the season progresses, though, and it's something you almost expect coming out of the first meet. Nothing to worry about too immensely, but they have the great technique and form, and that is something that you would almost take over those landings, because landings will come with time. They haven't had as many numbers on competition surface and those hard landings, and that will come with time.
Hannah Loyam next up for Iowa State. Her second of 3 events in her collegiate debut tonight.
Continuation of that collegiate debut, hoping to put up as good of a routine as she did on vault. Fun fact about Hannah, her 19th birthday was this past Tuesday, so I'm sure this is a continuation of that birthday party. Hannah comes from an athletic family. Her sister also, her twin, is also a NCAA competitor for the gymnastics. Hannah with a deep breath before she mounts the bars. You're gonna see another Jaeger from her. This time it's piked though. A little bit far from the bar, but she handled it beautifully. Great handstand, right down to the pack salto. A little bit rushed on that pirouette. You could see she didn't end in handstand. Hits the handstand beautifully. Now just the dismount left. Another double layout. Small step, but great continuation of her debut. You can see from that beaming smile, she is going to be someone to look out for, like I said, in the all-around. And not only athletically, but also academically. She is an all-star in the classroom as well, and just brings a heart to this team.
Asia Hall vaulting for Nebraska.
Great position in the air. She really got a little bit higher than the last couple competitors. So possibly a higher score. Again, a little bit of a pike down, but nothing like I haven't said before. Just with time, that'll improve.
It's the tough thing about trying to take any judgments from tonight is it's meet number 1 of a brand new season. And the lineup that you see tonight is almost certainly not going to be the lineup you see at the end of the season.
Exactly. There's going to be people coming in and out, injuries that will unfortunately happen. It's gymnastics. Really, the unexpected is expected at this level. The cool thing about college gymnastics, though, is that although they are competing for a spot, every day in practice to make that 6-person lineup, it is a very supportive environment for these teams, and they want the best girls out there so their team can put up the best showing.
Logan Boswell next for Iowa State on the uneven bars. Boswell averaged 9.775, put up a career high 9.9 last season.
And she competed every meet other than the first meet last season. Beautiful handstand. That is what we were looking for that vertical handstand on top of the bar. Another Jaeger you'll see. Great position in the air. She is a beautiful gymnast to watch. Again, she has those long lines that we're looking for, and she actually also has another new dismount. Instead of a full in, she is doing a double layout. Great position. Small step back, you can see from the coaches she is happy. Great routine put up by Logan. She's going to be another key contributor to this bar lineup as the season progresses.
Kinsey Roby now steps up for the Big Red.
She did have a fall in the last event, but she is a veteran, and I'm sure she will handle it very well. As you can see from that huge, massive vault. Great full. She got a lot of height and a lot of distance from the table. She did pike down a little bit, but she was just trying to look for that landing. You can tell that she's been around the block once or twice on this event. I'm sure that must feel good after a little bit of a hiccup, and her team is just as happy as she is celebrating with her.
Roby was Not a competitor in vault last season, but she has in her career. Right back in like she never left.
Exactly, and that's what you love to see, and that just speaks numbers on who she is as a competitor and a team player, that she can go a year without competition and just jump back in.
Addie DeJesus next up on the bars for the Cyclones.
This will be the only event that we see Addie on for this meet, but what a great event for her. She scored a 9.9 or higher in 5 meets last season, which is huge, with a high score of a 9.925. You can look forward to this routine, her really attacking those handstands and those release moves. She gets a lot of amplitude on every skill, and she really puts all of her effort out there. It's always a little bit hard when you have to wait, especially before bars. Your grips get a little bit cold, but a deep breath and we will be on our way. Also a new hairdo for Addie that she is rocking. Nice handstand. Beautiful ray, that's a toe on Tokachev right over to a bail. That is very difficult, and she did a great job with that. It's a very fast routine. Quick in and out for her. Just already gearing up for her dismount. Double layout, just floats, magnificent. Just a little tiny hop, but that is a great, great performance by the main contributor, Addie DeJesus.
Kinsey Davis to finish things off on the vault for the Big Red.
We will be seeing another full here. Good vault for her, very good vault. As we mentioned, she is a face that you should get used to seeing in this lineup, as well as all of the events lineups. You can see a little bit hesitant on how she felt about that vault, but she should be proud. She landed on her feet and not too many deductions on it. A little bit bent legs, but that's, again, something that can be fixed with time.
Maya Ford will finish up the bars portion of the evening for Iowa State. Ford is a junior on this Cyclone team, and this is her first event.
Also making a debut. We're seeing a lot of, with it being the first meet of the season, we're seeing a lot of debuts, but I am so excited for Maya to finally get on the floor. She has just been riddled with injuries, which is kind of typical with college gymnastics, and it's been really unfortunate that she hasn't been able to see competition yet, but she is a rock on this event, and her gymnastics is absolutely beautiful. It looks effortless, really. Let's hope she is able to do what she does every day in practice and puts any emotions to the side. Really attacking that first handstand right into a chapache. Beautiful. See how she just floats right back down to a bail handstand. You can see her team cheering her on behind. Awesome hit handstand. Just the dismount left. Let's see if she can find that landing. Awesome job. She is beaming, rightfully so. After 2 long years as a junior, she's finally, 2 missed seasons of competition, she finally was able to get back out there. We'll see a replay of that dismount and hopefully the smile afterwards, because that speaks numbers. And there it is.
Iowa State and Nebraska halfway home from Hilton Coliseum. We leave the vault and bars. We head to the beam and floor after this. You're watching College CAA Gymnastics season. Nebraska and Iowa State kicking things off from Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. Alongside Annie Johnson, I'm Noah Wolf. We're joined now by Iowa State head coach Jay Ronay. Jay, thanks for joining us.
Oh, happy to be here.
So can you just speak on what has happened so far? You guys have gone to vault and bars. How do you feel that the team has been doing so far?
Well, On vault, we did the vaults that we have been doing in practice. Quite a lot of similar landings, so there were no surprises. Scoring is a little bit lower than what we've seen in the past. The judges have been instructed to pay very close attention to landings, and they're very strict about what deductions they will take on vault. And for all landings, for all events. So we saw the same things happening on vault and on bar landings, where the gymnast is penalized if they're not completely flipping their dismounts or their vaults, and that's kind of reflected in our scores. But overall, I'm pleased with the way our team is performing. First meet, no one knows what to expect. Everyone's nervous, but we're super excited to move on to the second half, because I'm hoping that some of those nerves have been shaken off.
Yes, and you're so right with landings. I mean, that's what college gymnastics is. It's all about those landings. And what do you think that the audience can expect moving into beam and floor, being big events for Iowa State?
Beam is an event where you need to be calm. So we're expecting our team to be walking over there and getting into that calm space, and then performing what they've been doing in the gym. They've been looking good, really good in the gym. So we expect them to hit some clean routines and move right on the floor. And floor is going to be pretty exciting, so we're looking forward to showing off.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
That was Iowa State head coach Jay Ronayne in his 16th season with Iowa State. Nebraska warming up on the floor right now. Iowa State getting set on the balance beam. Both teams through 2 rotations. We've seen the Huskers and the Cyclones both compete on the vault and the uneven bars. And like Coach Ronayne was saying, it's the first meet of the season. You don't know what to expect. Different emphasis with the judges in terms of what deductions they're taking. And so the scores look a little different.
Exactly, and judging just in general is going to be a subjective sport. So you never really know where those scores are going, but it's almost better to see lower scoring in the first meet, because then there's really only room to grow and go up. And typically judging is a little bit tighter at the beginning of the season, as well as they're looking at those very fine things like the landings and the technique, the body position in the air. So hopefully moving forward on the beam and floor, both the Huskers and the Cyclones can hone in on those aspects and get a few more stuck landings under their belt.
There you see the Iowa State bar score. Laura Cook, her score is dropped after she did fall.
You can see Maya Ford, though, with her debut with the highest score for the Cyclones. How exciting for her.
Cyclones warming up on the balance beam. An experienced lineup for Iowa State on the beam, with the 3 seniors leading things off: Maishi Semple, Kelsey Boychuk, and Sophia Steinmeier. Then you've got Hannah Loyam, who has already debuted on vault and bars, followed by Logan Boswell and Anna Palacios rounding things out.
And as you mentioned, this lineup is stacked with seniors, so hopefully they're able to accomplish that calmness that Jay, the head coach, was discussing earlier.
Floor lineup for Nebraska, bookended by freshman Emma Spence at the top, Asia Hall at the bottom. A couple seniors in the middle with Kinsey Roby and Michaela Curtis, and Martina Comine, Kylie Pieringer, the other 2 gymnasts. Maishi Semple gets things started for Iowa State on the balance beam.
And Maishi has a ton of experience, so I can't imagine someone better to lead off this event. Beam is a very hard event, and one gymnast builds off the other. It's not only one routine kind of builds your momentum, it really builds the momentum for the entire lineup. Beautiful series there, back handspring, layout, step out. But yeah, she will be a great start for this lineup, as she has competed on beam every meet other than a few her freshman year, being a senior. Pretty exciting to see that she's made that big of a contribution. Beautiful switch half. Another leap series. Switch leap right into a split jump. Beautiful split. You're looking at that 180-degree, legs being parallel to the beam, which you saw over 180 by Meishi. Aerial full for her dismount, stuck landing, and that is the stick that we were talking about. Sticks are contagious in gymnastics, and big hug from Haley Young, and hopefully the rest of the beam lineup can follow that up. Another look at that beautiful stuck landing. I can't think of a better person and a better routine to really set this Cyclone team up for success.
Now over to the floor for Nebraska. Emma Spence, the freshman, leading things off.
As I mentioned with Meishi, the lineup or the first competitor is a very crucial role in this lineup, and so putting a freshman up as the starter to set the momentum and the tone for the rest of the meet is a huge accomplishment, and she should feel very confident with this routine because the coaches clearly have the confidence in her. A fun first half, very controlled landing, a 1.5 through to a round-up back handspring double full. Floor is always fun. It's typically the girls' favorite event as you can show your personality and really engage in the audience, even with an away crowd. They're gonna get into it and they're really gonna enjoy the personality being shown through. And the Huskers have a few fun songs that I think you guys might recognize that are listening. That required leap pass in there. Into her next pass, a double tuck, another great landing, didn't have her chest down, not too short on the landing, and didn't over-rotate. Great control again. And a great way to start off the Huskers as well. This is gonna be a tight competition. Nice replay of that dismount on floor. Nice double back.
Kelsey Boychuk on the beam, already in progress.
She starts off with a triple series, which is not required in college gymnastics, but she chooses to do it just to be that extra wow factor. Legs were stick straight on that. Slight balance check, but you can see that she is attacking each dance skill. Pitch kicking to a side summy. A little bit harder of a skill because you can't really look for the end of the beam at the end of the skill. She was supposed to connect that. Slight balance check. It'll be interesting to see what the judges do. Each connection of a skill series does add bonus. So we'll see what the judges think on that. Another great routine. Gainer full for the dismount. Here's a replay of that dismount. You don't see this a whole lot. Nice stuck landing, beautiful. A little bit nerves showing in that routine, but another great routine put up.
Kinsey Roby, the other all-arounder for Nebraska. She's next on the floor for the Big Red.
You can tell Kinsey really has fun with this routine. She is capable of doing a full in on the first pass, so not sure if she'll be doing it on the first meet. We'll see what she does. Sticks with the double pike, which is a good call for it being the first meet. It's a long season ahead, so really be looking forward to seeing that E pass, which is one of the most difficult passes that a collegiate athlete can do on this event. Beautiful over 180 leaps. You can tell that she's very flexible and she plays to her strengths, as you'll see in a continuation on beam as well. Round off, 1.5, front layout, very controlled landing. Trying to catch her breath with some dance before her last final pass. Her dismounted rounded back handspring double tuck, chest down a little bit, which will be a deduction. But really, floor is such a game on this first meet, a game of endurance. You know, they train really hard in the preseason, but the number of floor routines that they have aren't as many as they'll have under their belt towards the end of the season. So hopefully we'll see that endurance increase as the season goes on. And beautiful performance put up by senior Kinsey.
Sophia Steinmeier mounts the balance beam.
Sophia's beautiful on this event, and one of the most consistent I think Iowa State has ever seen. She's a solid competitor, consistently being the first on this event, first in the lineup. Moved her back to try to get a higher score. You can see that solid. Soph suffered an Achilles injury at the last meet and last pass of last season, and she decided to take her COVID year and have one more year with this team. Her team really looks up to her, and the leadership that she has displayed throughout her years has been incredible and something to look up to. She is the Farmstrong Athlete of the Year for Iowa State and really embodies what it's like to be a Cyclone. Just left is the dismount, a round off 1.5, stuck landing, huge routine for the Cyclones, and you can see fellow senior Addie giving her a big hug. That is something to be super proud of. An Achilles injury is a huge injury for any athlete, but to come back in less than a year and put up that type of performance just gives you chills.
Michaela Curtis on the floor for Nebraska.
Michaela does have some fun music that some of you might recognize, pop song. Round up back handspring, double pike, great landing on that. You can see some of these gymnasts even use their eyes in their performance to really get into it. And as I mentioned, you can really personalize the routine to play to your strengths and do the style of dance that fits your personality and fits your style. Front full, front lay, beautiful. This Nebraska lineup is doing fabulous. A lot of times you see a little bit of over rotation or under rotation because of that endurance, but really great performance so far. Fun little worm. Michaela went from competing only in 4 competitions her freshman year to competing in all 10 last season. So really growing as an athlete throughout her years at Nebraska. Just the last pass left. Beautiful last pass, chest down again a little bit. Didn't quite get the set all the way, but just as Kinsey, it's a little bit of an endurance game, and that will come as the season progresses. Taking a look back at that second pass, front full, front layout, beautiful. A little bit of a stumble, but not much of a deduction can happen on that event.
Hannah Loyam in her 3rd and final event of her collegiate debut tonight.
She has done a fabulous job so far, and beautiful switch leap connected. And I know she hopes to end on a solid note. Beautiful back handspring layout step out. Hannah has quite the accolades from her JO career. She was a Nastia Lucan Cup qualifier, and I watched her compete at a club meet last season, and I can tell you that she was just as solid then as she is now. I'm excited to see all that she does in her career. Just the dismount left, a round off, 1.5, pretty much a stuck landing. Another great debut by the freshman. Now, she had quite the day, and she should be very proud. I know her twin sister is probably cheering for her back home or over in Idaho. Another look at that dismount and that awesome smile from the freshman.
Posted 2 scores of 9-7 in the vault and the bars, did Hannah Lamb. Now for Nebraska. Martina Comine.
Another fun music. You're gonna see that they use, some of the gymnasts use a mat on the floor. Half in, half out, beautiful. Some of the gymnasts do use a mat just to kind of save the bodies, which is very smart to do. These gymnasts take a pounding. It's almost like individual football, the way that the impact is. You can see the Husker arm symbol that all of them do in their floor routine, incorporated into all their choreography. Another great pass. These Huskers really do show off their dance and their leaps. They do a great job at hitting that 180 or even surpassing it. One more pass. Deep breath before she goes. Front layout, front full. Not as difficult as a final pass as we saw from some of the other teammates, but still beautifully performed. Fun little ending. Great performance put up. Here's another look at that second pass, round up back handspring, double tuck. Chest down a little bit on the landing, but great job.
Logan Boswell getting started on the balance beam for Iowa State.
Logan is making her debut on beam. Oh, she was supposed to connect that to a leap. I don't know what went wrong there, but switch half, beat jump. And that's important. These girls are in control enough of their gymnastics that if they feel a little bit off, they can do a few dances in between and kind of reset. So that was probably a good choice on her part. Smart decision. Gearing up for her back handspring, layout, step out, beautiful. You can really see in her fingers and the fierceness in her face that she just attacks this event. A fun fact on beam is all of the girls in their home competition for this Iowa State team are allowed to pick their beam music, so what music that they perform to. And typically the girls pick something that calms them and reminds them of home, which is the case for Logan. She is a beautiful gymnast to watch, and here's another look at that dismount, aerial, full. Chest down a little bit off to the side, but great performance put up by Logan in her college debut on beam.
Over to the floor now, Nebraska's Kylie Pieringer.
Opening up with a double tuck. Huge height, almost so much height. She couldn't really quite get that landing, but that is what the judges want to see. She is capable of scoring a 9-9 on this event, as she has put up in her career before. She's a solid competitor on this event. 1.5 front layout. Little Tokyo drift action. Trying to give her some energy going into this third pass. You can see her teammates doing the choreography with her, trying to feed her some energy. She will actually be ending with a double pike, which is harder than her first pass and gives bonus ending with this difficult of a skill. Huge double pike, beautiful landing. She had no problem with endurance in that routine. Awesome job by Kylie. Here's another look at that last pass. Huge double pike. She can open her hips up a little bit more on the takeoff, but awesome job.
Anna Palacios to round things out for the Cyclones on the beam.
Anna has more unique skills, and she is someone you can just sit back and enjoy. The way that she carries herself is just breathtaking. Side aerial, back handspring, step out. You can see as the other girls are very aggressive, she just flows from one thing to the next as if she's putting on her pants in the morning. She makes it look easy, that's for sure. Oh, nice fight. That has tripped her up in the past a little bit, that connection. And you could see her back leg was down a little bit. That's very unfortunate because they have moved her to the anchor spot, which is ideally the highest score in a lineup, and she deserves that more than anyone. She is capable of scoring huge on this event as long as she doesn't have that little balance check that she had. A great aerial full for her dismount that you'll see again coming up here. Side aerial, back full. And you can see that she lands with her chest facing the beam as opposed to down on the mat, which is what you're looking for.
The anchor for Nebraska's floor routine is Asia Hall. Freshman kicked things off on the floor. Now a freshman rounds things out.
Oh, shoot. A little bit of an over-rotation. Just a little bit too much adrenaline. Didn't quite open up and see that landing, but her teammates are encouraging her in the corner. The hard thing about gymnastics is you don't really have that much time. Another chest down. You don't have a lot of whole time to regroup and reset. The kind of show goes on without you. A little bit of a stumble there in her dance. Final pass is a front handspring, front layout, front full, shoot. You know, she was just a little bit timid on that pass. Didn't quite get enough turnover on the front handspring and the front layout. That's very unfortunate for these Huskers. I know with her being in the anchor spot, they expect a big score from her. And here's another look at that last pass, and we'll see what went wrong. Beautiful front handspring, just kind of piked at the hips with her chest down, feet a little bit in front of her. It's very unfortunate. She will be a great floor worker, though, as this season continues.
That's the end of rotation 3. Nebraska to the beam. Iowa State to the floor. You're watching college gymnastics on Big 12 Now on ESPN+.
I would say this team is outstanding.
I think we've got grit.
I guess I'd say hungry.
Our main goal is to start where we finished last year.
We do have a lot of seniors, yeah. The whole senior class from last year came back. I've never had a team that is this talented, so that stands out tremendously.
I've been a part of big teams my entire time here, but this one takes the cake. But honestly, it's been awesome. Like, not losing anyone from last year just makes us that much better for this coming season.
With so many girls in the gym at one time, I feel like the energy is just like amazing every single day.
Competition level in the gym is exactly what we've been driving for over the past, 5 or 6 years.
You know, you're fighting for your spot here, so it's definitely earned if you're competing.
Obviously, only 6 girls can compete on an event, It's like friendly competition.
It is competitive, but it's also a really good feeling to know that if something does go wrong, there's 12 people you can count on in a lineup rather than 6 options.
We're adding so many talented new faces and freshmen and stuff that it just makes it really exciting to be in here.
In the past, freshman class has typically taken a long time to grasp what the heck is going on here. You know, we've had very little of that from our freshman class. Immediately went, okay, this is what we're doing, let's do it.
I would call them leaders. They do what they need to do in the gym, which is nice to see as an upperclassman.
I don't want to open up a season against a team that we feel like we're far superior to. I want a challenge, and Nebraska's gonna bring a challenge to us. And I think the fans are going to really, really enjoy that matchup.
I feel like as Iowa State, we're often like overlooked, but we have so much potential in our roster, and I'm just excited to showcase that.
It's super important for everyone to be committed to each other, to work hard for each other, and ultimately, if we're doing that, we'll get to where we want to go.
The expectation is the same thing that I tell the team every single day. We're going to get just a little bit better every day, starting right now.
Iowa State and Nebraska through 3 rotations in the opening meet of the NCAA gymnastics season. Up next is Iowa State on the floor and Nebraska on the balance beam. Iowa State finished off their beam with a 48-2. There you see the individual scores. The score from Boychuk was dropped to get the total 48-2.
Definitely not the scores that they were hoping for, but they'll go back in the gym on Monday and hone in on some of those little things that went wrong that are uncharacteristic mistakes for the Cyclones.
Nebraska on the floor went for a 48-6-5. And uncharacteristically low scores for the anchors on both of those last rotations.
Thankfully for the Huskers, the anchor score was dropped for their floor, and they have pretty good scores otherwise for their first meet. Again, not exactly where they want to be, but all the more motivation once they get back in the gym.
Here you see Iowa State's beam highlights.
Meishi Semple, a key competitor on this beam lineup. She's going to do great things her senior year. Stuck dismount, really set up the Cyclones for success. And Soph Steinmeier getting back after that Achilles tear, just a motivation in itself. Finishing off with that dismount, round off 1.5, stuck landing. And Hannah finishing off her college debut. Solid as ever, but expect nothing less from this freshman. Here we go back to the floor. They had huge tumbling passes, great double tuck. And they really played to the audience, despite it's hard to compete on floor in an away crowd, but they did an amazing job and really went all out in their performances and didn't hold back at all. Huge double pike, just floated in the air. She was still rising as that second flip took place.
Nebraska will head to the balance beam next after a solid night on the floor. Leading things off for the 3rd time in 4 events is the freshman Emma Spence. They clearly have a lot of trust in her.
Absolutely, but rightfully so. She is a huge competitor, and she's going to do great things throughout her career here.
Spence had a 9.7 on the vault, or 9.725, I should say, 9.675 on the bars, and a 9.75 on the floor.
And you know, this is the rotation that I've been looking forward to the most. The way that Nebraska just captivates the crowd through their elegance. It's almost balletic. It's very pretty to watch. And likewise, floor for Iowa State. They're definitely showstoppers on that event. You can see that Emma's elegance through her fingers and just the way that she dances. Huge connection, front aerial, back handspring. Again, a triple series that isn't required, but gives that little extra nudge to a higher score by the judges. Side summy. And if you're nervous, this is the event that it will show on. There's really no room for error, being only 4 inches wide. Here's that dismount, a round off 1.5. Great performance by the freshman. That is a hard event to come out and compete, let alone be the first competitor. So huge performance by Emma, great job by her.
Kelsey Boychuk kicks things off for Iowa State on the floor, their final rotation of the night.
Another pop song for a floor routine, kind of engages the crowd in a different level. You can see her teammates dancing along with her. Here's that first pass, around up back handspring, double pike. Now that is the type of landing that the judges are looking for. That was beautiful. Deep breath before that second pass. Round off, 1.5, front layout. Almost looked like her legs gave out a little bit. You want to see that front layout rise a little bit more than it did. But again, at this point, being on your feet is a good thing. Kelsey only competed on vault till the 2021 season, and since then, she has been a key competitor in both the vault, beam, and floor lineup, and has took over a leadership role in this team despite the senior class being quite large. Just the final pass here. Round up back handspring, double tuck. Great showing for Kelsey. Again, you can see that use of the mat. Now that is a great start for the Cyclones on this event. Here's a look at that first pass again, a round up back handspring, double pike. You can see her chest is rising and she doesn't bobble her feet at all.
On to the balance beam for Nebraska is Michaela Curtis.
You're gonna see a really fun connection starting off her routine. Something that you don't really see a whole lot. A wolf jump right into a punch front tuck. Beautifully done. Back handspring, layout step out. Her legs were about as straight as you can be. Full turn. Every college gymnast's nemesis. It's required in every routine, and despite having done it since they were 9 years old, sometimes it gives girls a little bit of trouble. Switch leap, split jump. Great finish, keeping that chin up on the beam. That really shows confidence for these judges. They're looking at a little different angle than we are, so seeing your eyes lift and not look at the beam shows that confidence that you're captivating. And stuck dismount, beautifully done by senior Michaela. Round off 1.5. That is going to be a great score for Nebraska and exactly what they were looking for.
Ariana Orrego takes a seat on the floor to start her routine.
She is a great showman performance on this routine. She is the only Olympian gymnast from Peru. And she thought, oh, double tuck, a little bit of bounce back on that. She had so much fun the first time that she decided to do it again in Tokyo for a second time and represent her country again, where she competed in the all-around. A little bit different this time around, I'm sure, without there being fans, but I know it was quite the experience for her. And again, she is another competitor that, seeing her growth, both athletically and personally, from freshman year all the way through to this senior year, it's really remarkable. And Very admirable. You can see her getting into it, a little bit sassy. A lot of enthusiasm from her teammates as she gears up for this final pass. A little bit different than the elite floor routine that she had for the Olympics this past summer. A little bit more showy, which college gymnastics loves to see. Beautiful double pike finish. Did not run out of steam there. She had a great floor routine. Love to see that performance side of her as well. Here's another look at that last pass. Round off back handspring, double pike, hard pass to end on, but she did it fabulously.
Asia Hall onto the balance beam for the Big Red.
She is one of the calmest competitors I've seen. Very elegant. Her fingers, the way that she, from her toe point and straight legs all the way to her fingers, there's not a detail that she misses. Oh, that is going to be a misconnection. She will not get the bonus for that. Beautiful front aerial. It almost looked like time stopped as she was in the air. She just floated so well. That is a hard skill since you cannot look for the beam. It's a blind landing, but she did it great. Round off 1.5, stuck landing. Great job. And to come back with that routine after her floor performance says a lot about her. And she did a great job handling the nerves and the pressure, and fabulous job done by Asia.
That was her first balance beam event as a collegiate athlete, finishing off her debut.
Pretty exciting.
Kaya Parker now hits the floor for Iowa State.
Kaya was out most of the season last year for an elbow injury, but she is coming back stronger than ever. She not only is a powerful tumbler, but she really is a great dancer and brings the energy to the floor exercise as well as the crowd. Round off 1.5, front layout. Very controlled landing. Kaya has really stepped up to the plate going on to her sophomore season. After that injury set her back. She's about to do big things for this team, a huge double back. Not only was it sky high, but that landing was about as controlled as you can be. That was a fun ending. Her teammates are very proud as she competed for the first time in a year. Very impressive young lady.
Kinsey Davis to the beam for Nebraska. Halfway through rotation 4 here.
Now, here is the person where I can say, loosen your shoulders up a bit, lean back, and just enjoy. Two back handsprings. I believe she was supposed to connect that into a layout step out. Back handspring, layout step out. Oh, shoot. So that is going to be a deduction. I don't know if the judges will count that since there is. She did do 3 back handsprings. Oh, shoot. Another very difficult skill, Brandy, with an aerial with 2 feet. In warm-up, she looked solid as ever. And I know she is capable of a lot. And again, you can even see through her dance how talented this young gymnast is. Taking lots of deep breaths throughout the routine. Still the dismount left. Aerial, a tuck full, stuck landing, a great finish after a little bit of a rocky routine. She is someone to keep an eye on this event, though. She is very beautiful and has a lot of potential. And I'm looking forward to see how she rebounds from this, moving on to her next meet.
Rachel Wilk.
A little mess up on the names there, but Laura Cook has a routine that all of Cyclone Nation, I think, may recognize if you ever attended a football game. Very great and fun performer to watch. Every facial expression, every flick of the wrist is choreographed, and she does a fabulous job. Front handspring, double full into a leap. Very, very difficult, but she did it great. Crowd's getting into it, clapping.
This is Red Foo's Juicy Wiggle, which is, as you mentioned, a favorite among Iowa State fans.
If flashlights were allowed, I'm sure Hilton would be lit up by everyone's cell phone flashlight. Definitely a crowd favorite. Really getting into it. That's what the judges love to see. They like to see you having fun. Final pass, round up 1.5, front full, very difficult again. I don't know where the judges are gonna find many of their deductions. That was beautiful. If they weren't lost in all the dancing, that was so beautifully done. Here's a look at that last pass again, so controlled. And you see how that front full is just about as high as that 1.5, which is exactly what you want to see.
Catherine Thaler on the balance beam for Nebraska.
Catherine has posted a 9.9 on this event before. And you can see why here. Full split in the back handspring, something you don't see on a lot of gymnasts. Showing off that flexibility, even in her skills. Front toss, very difficult. Tiny little balance check there. Shouldn't be too big of a deduction though. Looking for that stuck dismount now here. Round off, 1.5. Oh, just the tiniest little step there on her dismount, but wow, what a performance to come up after a rocky performance. That's amazing.
Andrea Maldonado on the floor for Iowa State. Another Cyclone back for her 5th year.
Laura Cook got a 9.9 on floor, which is huge for the Cyclones. Exactly what they needed if they're gonna pull out a win on Nebraska. Andrea does have a skill named after her. It's a front triple full, huge skill, but she is not going to be competing it today. Sticking with the double full front punch, equally as hard. She was a born performer, as was most of the Cyclone team. Beautiful front handspring 1.5. Really trying to get that crowd's energy engaged. Not only the gymnasts have to have fun, the whole crowd. Really, it's time for them to have fun as well on this event. Final pass, a round up back handspring, double pike. Oh, shoot. You can see in her face, not what she wanted, a little bit disappointed by that, but everything else was fabulous. Still smiling though. Just running out of steam at the end, as we saw in some of the Nebraska Huskers as well. Here's another look at that pass. First pass, front double full, front tuck. Pretty huge.
Kinsey Roby rounds things out for Nebraska on the balance beam.
Pay attention to Kinsey's flexibility on this event. Shoulder flexibility and that split that she shows in all of her skills is just impeccable. Her series, no movement on that landing. You know, I talked with Heather Brink before the meet, and she said that her intent going into this meet is really to work on the values, which are trust, unity, passion, and excellence. And her goal is to display that in everything that the Huskers do. And gymnastics is such a mental sport that if you go in focusing on those types of values, that'll help unify your team and hopefully create a better outcome. Just the dismount. Side aerial, back full, suck landing. Great performance by the veteran, Kinsey.
Kinsey Roby finishes out her all-around on the beam.
Side aerial, back full. Great first competition put up by Kinsey.
And that's the end of Nebraska's performances for the night. Iowa State with one final one. Maddie Diab on the floor. Eerily silent before she gets started.
A little nerve-wracking, as if coming up after a fall isn't nerve-wracking enough. She has a lot of competitions under her belt though, so she is a fun competitor to watch. Her skills are, she makes them look easy, but believe it or not, they're some of the most difficult skills you'll see repeated on floor in the NCAA. You can see that her floor average is a 9.88, which is huge considering all the different floor competitions that there were throughout last season.
Diab enters her junior year, only competing on the floor so far. See some of the results from the Iowa State floor so far. That 9.9 put up by Laura Cook is good for an event win.
Oh, absolutely.
Assuming that she's not beat by her teammates here.
Which I'm sure the Cyclones wouldn't mind.
Here's what's going on for the beam scores for Nebraska at the moment.
You did see those beginning of season jitters kind of shine through in the Nebraska beam lineup, but as I said, they are one of the most beautiful beam workers that the NCAA has. And so once they kind of get those pre-meet jitters out and settle in really to their gymnastics, you're going to see big scores from them.
Nebraska had the highest scores on the first two events of the night. Kinsey Roby on the vault and Kinsey Davis on the uneven bars, but Iowa State set to win the last two with Macy Semple's 9.8 on the beam and Laura Cook's 9.9 on the floor. Cyclones, after today, head to Des Moines, short road trip, take on Temple at a neutral site at the Chow's Winter Classic. Then they hit the road for warmer temperatures, hopefully in Auburn, Alabama. Take on Auburn January 21st, and then a Big 12 meet back at home against West Virginia to finish out the month of January. They start February on the road at another Big 12 meet at Denver before taking on Lindenwood, Southeast Missouri State, and Illinois State at the Jim Quarters Invitational on the 18th of February. Nebraska, meanwhile, this is their first meet of the season for both teams, and then they go home to take on BYU on the 15th. They ring in Big 10 play with Illinois on the 21st. Maddie Diab finally set to go.
Finally got going. I know her teammates did a good job at keeping her loose and in a lighthearted mood before this routine. Beautiful front double full front layout. Same as Andrea's routine. Oh, is that your phone, Noah?
No, I've got an Android.
Oh, there we go. Little fun playing with the crowd. I'm sure everyone checked their phones, unless you have an Android. Front handspring, front layout, front fold. Really opens up beautifully there. Each salto was just as high as the last. She has really grown as a performer. She has found her style and is clearly having fun with it. Another tactic to engage the audience a little bit. Here's her final pass, a front handspring 1.5. Beautiful layout. She just floats in that skill, and it's so pretty to watch. And putting the crown on, rightfully so. In that anchor spot, she can expect a big score for that performance as well as performances to come. Here's another look at the front handspring layout. Front full into that jump, just kept going. Last pass, Rudy into a layout step out.
That does it for the events inside Hilton Coliseum. We'll have the final events. Looks like it's gearing up to be a tight finish, so we'll have that official final score. When we come back, we'll get you event winners and everything else right after this. Tabulations still in progress between Iowa State and Nebraska. First gymnastics meet of the NCAA season on a frigid Friday night at Hilton Coliseum. Alongside Annie Johnson, I'm Noah Wolf, and well, it's the first event of the year. You never really know what to expect, and we heard that it might be some lower scores, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing. We'll look a little bit into the future here. Postseason will come up before you know it. At the end of March and early April, NCAA regionals will be held. The couple weekends before that is the conference championships for both of these two teams. And then, yeah, the regional host sites being Auburn, Illinois, NC State, and Washington. So these two teams will hope to compete in Champaign-Urbana before looking to qualify for the NCAA championship in Fort Worth. And, well, the road to Fort Worth begins tonight.
It sure does, and it's a long road ahead. So the few hiccups you saw today by both teams are kind of to be expected. As we mentioned, the unexpected is expected, especially with this first meet, but they did a fabulous job, and this is a performance that both teams should be very proud of. And it's honestly just getting out here and showing up is an accomplishment, and it's a time to have fun, and all that hard work during the preseason pays off in this moment at the first meet.
Seeing some highlights from that final rotation. Nebraska finishing strong on the beam, and it's that last beam score that I think we're still waiting on before the final results are tabulated and a winner is declared.
There's a little bit of back and forth between the Huskers and the Cyclones, so it'll be interesting to see who comes on top. Both teams put up great performances. Yes, there were some hiccups, but there were some outstanding performances and athletes that you guys should keep an eye on throughout this season, for sure.
Iowa State on the floor had two terrific performances at the very end. 9 nines for both Laura Cook and Maddie Diab.
Both of these teams do have a lot of freshmen. You can see the lineup right there for the Iowa State. They almost overflow the floor. So they do have a lot of new faces, as does Nebraska, but just getting out here and seeing what the competition is really like is an experience in itself. Whether they saw a lineup or not, it is something to put under their belt and move on and move forward with. Now they can only look forward to the next event that they have.
Tonight's individual winners, Nebraska took the first two events. Kinsey Roby had the vault and Kinsey Davis on the bars, but it was all Cyclones in the second half. Meishi Semple with a 9-8 on beam, and then Laura Cook and Maddie Diab. Great finish on the floor. 9 9s apiece.
Split right down the middle, 2 for Nebraska and 2 for the Cyclones, or 2.5.
And Emma Spence is tonight's all-around winner. She was competing with her teammate Kinsey Roby, and Spence is the freshman, making her collegiate debut tonight. Wins the all-around competition inside Hilton Coliseum.
Can't really dream of a better debut from a freshman, I would say.
It looks like the final score has been tabulated. Iowa State 194-450, Nebraska 194-425.
Wow.
Razor thin margins.
You can't even see the difference there. That is one toe point, one bent leg, but what a great performance by both these teams. They definitely made it fun for the crowd and really some great things to look back on.
Both teams will return to action on January 15th. Nebraska will host BYU, and Iowa State will face Temple at Hy-Vee Hall in Des Moines as part of Chow's Winter Classic. For Andy Johnson and our entire Ames crew, I'm Noah Wolf saying so long from Hilton Coliseum, where the final score is Iowa State 194-450, Nebraska 194-425. All events airing on ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of